13 hours, 300 passengers, one of the most advanced long-haul aircraft ever built. And the flight was defeated, not by weather, not by engines, not by geopolitics, but by toilets. Less than 2 hours after takeoff, a modern Boeing 777 became a flying dead end. Not because something exploded, but because something clogged. This is not a joke. It's a warning. When people think about aviation safety, they think about pilots, engines, turbulence, or air traffic control. Almost no one thinks about waste systems. Yet on long-haul flights, toilets are not a comfort feature. They are a safety requirement. On a 13-hour flight, regulators mandate a minimum number of working lavatories. If too many fail, the aircraft is no longer legally or medically fit to continue. That rule exists for one reason. Human bodies don't pause just because you're at 35,000 feet. And on March 5th, 2025, that rule quietly took control of Air India Flight AI-126. About 105 minutes after departure from Chicago, the crew realized something was wrong. One toilet stopped working, then another, then another. By the time the situation was assessed, 9 out of 12 toilets were unusable. Do the math. 300 people, a transatlantic crossing, 1 to 3 functioning lavatories. That's not discomfort. That's a countdown. Lines stretch. Tensions rise. Crew members begin monitoring usage. Medical risk enters the equation. At this point, the aircraft hadn't even reached the midpoint of its journey. Turning back meant failure. Continuing meant violating safety limits. And over the Atlantic, with nighttime landing restrictions across Europe, options collapsed fast. Here's the detail most people miss. This decision wasn't dramatic. It wasn't panicked. It was procedural. Once the crew confirmed the waste system failure was irreversible in flight, the outcome was sealed. A Boeing 777, designed to cross oceans non-stop, became a boomerang, 10 hours in the air, only to land back where it started, not because the aircraft couldn't fly, but because it couldn't flush. After landing, engineers opened the system. What they found wasn't mechanical failure, it was misuse. The pipes were jammed with items that aircraft toilets are never designed to handle. Plastic bags, cloth materials, personal items, even cabin blankets. Aircraft waste systems rely on vacuum pressure, not gravity. They are efficient, but unforgiving. Once blocked, there is no mid-air fix, no reset button, no workaround. This wasn't a design flaw alone. It was a human systems mismatch. This incident wasn't isolated. Airlines across the world quietly deal with lavatory misuse, especially on those long-haul routes where passengers are confined for extended periods. The problem is rarely discussed publicly because, well, it sounds trivial, but honestly, trivial failures are often the most dangerous because they're underestimated. Aviation invests billions in engines that never fail, redundant avionics, triple backups. Yet the system can still collapse because people treat a safety-critical component like a trash chute. This story isn't about one airline. It's really about how modern transportation depends on perfect cooperation between humans and machines. The jet didn't fail. The crew didn't fail. Air traffic control didn't fail. The system failed because behavior at scale overwhelmed design assumptions. That's uncomfortable because it means no amount of technology alone can solve it. As aircraft become more complex and more crowded, small misuses amplify faster than engineers can compensate. The weakest link isn't steel or software, it's expectation. Incidents like this, well, they force quiet changes. Airlines reconsider passenger briefings. Manufacturers explore clog-resistant designs. Maintenance protocols become stricter. Not because it looks good in press releases, but because a single overlooked system can ground a $300 million aircraft. This flight didn't crash, but it still failed its mission completely. The lesson here isn't about embarrassment. It's about fragility. In a world obsessed with high-tech threats, sometimes the thing that stops progress isn't dramatic. It's mundane. Aviation doesn't just depend on engines and pilots. It depends on people respecting the systems that keep everything moving. Because sometimes, the difference between arriving and turning back is something no one thinks about, until it's already too late.